A full-time employee will never get it. An online community cannot be replaced, and I'll tell you why. That's a question I think 80% of the professional world is not going to be able to answer to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast again. This podcast series is all about offering insights, strategies, and stories to help independent professionals navigate their personal as well as their professional journeys. Today, we have a very interesting guest with us. We have today Humaira Parveen, who is the community manager at Outsized. And today, we'll be diving into what exactly a community is and how can it help you foster your personal as well as professional growth. So, hello, Humaira. How are you today?
Hi, Tanya. I'm good. Thank you for having me on your podcast. Yeah, it's good to be here.
So, Humaira, you've spent a considerable amount of time building the community at Outsized. So, I want you to start with letting our audience know what exactly a community is.
What exactly a community is? That's a question I think 80% of the professional world is not going to be able to answer to you, right? When you hear the word community, what comes to your mind is, oh, there's a social community out there. You're going to help your community of people around you, right? And it's going to be about giving back to the community. Those are the terms that we've grown up with when you hear community as a word. But when it comes to professionals, or I would say, people in general, there can be multiple kinds of communities, and it depends on what the community is focusing on. So it's basically a group of people who have one mentality towards things, right, or one goal towards things, but they're all very different, right? So it could be me, you, all the other team members at Outsized, right? We're all also a community of people who are focusing on just helping independent talent get the opportunities that are the best fit for them, right? You could have a group of people who, let's say, are enthusiasts for baking, right? That becomes a community. So a community isn't something that I would say is something that you would have a platform for, especially, or is something that is going to be at scale. It could be a group of 3 people, 4 people, thousands, hundreds, anything, right? It's just a group of people with the same kind of goal.
Okay, and now let's talk about the community in the digital age. Do you want to talk our audience through a digital community as opposed to a physical community?
Right. So there are 2 kinds of communities, right? Like you said, online and offline, I would put it like that. And in an online community, obviously, you have the digital space to connect with people, right? Especially that this went up when you had COVID, right? You understood that you can connect with people on a one-on-one basis, even through the digital forms that we have this day, right? It could be Zoom or all the other platforms, right? It could be something like Facebook, Instagram. These are all communities where people are connecting. So that is one aspect. And then the other one is the physical one, where you're actually meeting these people or doing activities together. So when I talk about the baking one, right, just the example that I gave you, the baking one is that you're maybe sitting together and learning how to bake a cake, right? It could be a specific kind one. And then the other one could be that you have a group of consultants who are sitting and doing a case study together, right? Now, this can be done both virtually and physically, but physical communities are more interactive because there's no hindrance or thought process that you're saying, oh, should I write this question? How should I phrase it? Does this sound too much like I'm asking for a lot, or is this too underconfident, right?
Or
There's
is it too stupid to ask?
Is it too stupid to ask, right?
Yeah.
There's so many questions that come to your mind when you're in a digital space, but when you're physical, you're like, I'm just going to take that shot. Okay, fine, my question is wrong. So what? I'm just going to say it. And by the time you realize that you said something that is not good, you've already said it. So I think, yeah, those are 2 kinds of communities and how they're different.
And how do you think communities are fostering professional and personal development for professionals in general? And then we'll talk about independent professionals later on in the podcast.
Right.
But how do you think it's helping professionals in general?
So when it comes to personal and professional, I think it's very interlinked, right? If you grow professionally, you'll feel that personal satisfaction and you'll grow. And again, it goes vice versa. So when we talk about a community, it's again a group of people who have similar interests to you, right? And they're all going towards the same goal. So if everybody is going towards the same goal of, let's say, upskilling or networking, right? Or learning how to implement XYZ in the next 3 months, right? And you sit together with that person, you're automatically going to get motivated and inspired by that person. Whether you're doing it digitally, whether you're doing it physically, right? You will get automatically motivated. And that motivation and that inspiration that you get, I think that fosters that feeling of that, okay, now I can also do it. And that helps you with your growth, your personal and professional growth. So let's take an example of a company where people are focused on, where there's a team, right, who has data professionals across skill areas, right? There are 5 data scientists, let's just say, okay. Out of the 5, 4 are sloshing and just working 12-hour shifts, 14-hour shifts, right? But there's someone else also who's working there within the same team, but is doing the same job in, let's say, 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours maximum, and then is using those 2 hours that he has left on something that's more personally, driving him. So it could be creating content about data science, right? It could be about swimming. It could be that he's interested in cricket, right? It could be anything. So if that person is doing it, won't you get motivated by that one person around you, that okay, if this person can do both things together, I will get motivated. So within that big team, you have a little community of data scientists, right, who are doing their own thing, but you see that one member, that one single member who's doing additional things for himself, and you get inspired that okay, even I can take an example like this and I can do something like that. So I feel, yeah, that is how a community helps you grow professionally and personally.
And what initiatives is the Outsized community taking to help independents upskill?
So at Outside, we've done a couple of things, right? But the initiative that stands out the most for us is ConnectX. So it's a one-on-one mentorship training program, right, that we offer to our community members, and it's exclusively for community members. What it does is it allows you to connect with someone who has similar interests like you, right, or could be different interests, but have the same thing to teach or learn, right? So it could be that you want to teach me marketing, or you want to teach someone marketing, and I'm looking to learn marketing. So I tell Outside that, hey, I'm looking for someone who has 7 years of experience in marketing, could teach me specifics about LinkedIn marketing, right? And I'm somebody in community, or it could be that I'm someone as a data professional, right? Anybody. And you say that I'm just looking here to, I'm here to just mentor somebody and teach something new to someone, just want to spend time, give back to the community, as we say, right? And the Outside team sees that, okay, this person is looking for this person is looking for this, let's put them together. We set up this entire series where you connect on a 30-minute catch up every 3 weeks, and then you basically exchange skills, right? So it might be that I'm the one who's actually looking to learn, but you could also learn from me, and then vice versa, right? That is how it would work. So I think that program has been very successful for Outsized, and we've so far matched, I think, 50 pairs, right? So 50 pairs, and that's 100 people have actually, benefited from this program. There's no, what do you say, guideline on what you have to do. It's completely open. You come, you decide, and you do it.
Okay, and in terms of let's talk about ConnectX only. Have the professionals given you, say, an idea about, okay, I feel good that I'm just giving back, or were they looking for something in return as well, like the ones who are mentoring people?
So what I'll tell you is that these people are very experienced. So they don't want anything. It's that you reach a point in your career and then you just want to teach other people, right? And many times, I think 99% of the times, I've never seen anybody come back saying that I didn't get anything out of this. So the senior folks, they actually are here to teach, right? And then the junior ones are obviously always eager to learn, right? It would be across skills and anything and everything that they want to do. So there's never been an instance for me that somebody's come back and been like, hey, I didn't get anything out of this. Right? You always form a connection. You still network as part of ConnectX, right? It's not just teaching somebody something or learning something. It's about networking as well. So it's just curated networking, matching, all of the things that Outside is known for.
Okay, and has this predominantly been online, or have you had in some offline cases as well?
Unfortunately, it's only been online. I would really like to take it offline maybe soon. But right now it's online. It's more, it's better that way, I would say, because, you're able to connect with consultants across the globe. So you could be sitting in India, you get matched with someone in, let's say, Singapore, right? You could be in Singapore, you get matched with someone in Africa. It's all across our markets. So there's that specific, I think, good side that you get out of it. You get global exposure as opposed to just sitting in one location. And we're actually focusing on that aspect now. We've launched regional forums. So now you can connect with people around you in your locality, as opposed to just, missing out on that.
Okay, and in terms of someone finding an opportunity through a community, I want to first understand, has this been a case where someone has found an actual opportunity, be it a freelance opportunity or say a full-time opportunity, or has it just opened doors for new avenues for people? How has community helped with that?
So let me again be specific with the example of Outsized, right? The Outsized community. Both of the things that you mentioned, right? You find opportunities directly through the platform, right? We facilitate that. Number one, right? The community. One of the features of the community is again that we have multiple opportunities going live, and you know that, right? Every day, 20 to 15 to 20 opportunities come up,
Correct.
right? Now, there's only there's a different way that we communicate right now, but the community facilitates you to get instantly notified that this opportunity that is again curated to your skill area, right, and your location is available now. You can go and apply. So we facilitate that, so that helps people apply more and get access to those opportunities more. The other way is that because you're in a community of people who are like you, have the same goal of getting more opportunities, you often find collaborators, right? So you will find, let's say, somebody is going to work on a project, right? They want to pitch for it, but they need one more team member because they know they are not going to be sufficient for it. So our community again offers you to do a custom search for yourself. There are lots of keywords and other details you can add. Must be in X location, must have X skill set, right? Should have, let's say, this years of experience and all of those things. You can add that, and then you find a list of people who you can actually reach out to and connect about this opportunity. And you know that they would be interested because they are all here for the same reason, right? So it's a curated space, and you know that these people can give you that opportunity and would be welcoming of anything new. So those are the two instances of getting opportunities. And the third, which I think is a passive one that happens eventually with time, is that if you constantly engage with people in the community, you're actively posting, right? People see that this person knows XYZ skill, right, and is good at it, right? If you're constantly writing about your skill, so that again opens doors. The next time somebody, it could be that there's someone who owns a consulting firm, right? A small consulting, a boutique consulting, they could be there as part of the platform, and they realize that you're a good fit, you could get that opportunity as part of their team, right? So anything can happen. So I think these are three ways in which the community offers opportunities.
Okay, great. So now we've focused on how community acts as a source of inspiration. It can be a place for you to find opportunities. It can be a place for you to find mentors for yourself. So people might be under the assumption that if I join a community, I'm going to get all three. So now I want to dive into the aspect of what is the expectation people come with and what is the actual experience on the community.
Right. So yeah, all the things that I mentioned is not just gonna happen magically. You have to be active in the community, right? You have to, if we're sending you a notification, it's only valid if you open it and see it, right? Otherwise you're gonna be like, oh, outside is spamming me, right? I'm getting multiple notifications. You subscribe for it, but you have to be active to come back, apply, right? You have to submit the proposal. We can only facilitate the process of you knowing about the opportunity, but the next step is all on you. You have to customize your CV, you have to do the needful, right? So just because you've signed up to any platform, I would say, not just the Outsized community, but any community platform, just sitting there idle is not going to get you anything, right? Especially in today's day and age, if you're not creating content, it's you're lagging behind, right? Nobody knows what you're doing. If you're not putting your digital footprint out there, you're just sitting there. So I feel like that expectation that people have that I've joined a community, now people are going to advocate for me, do this and do that. No, that's not going to happen unless you put in the work, right? So I would say for situations like this where people feel that it should be happening, it doesn't happen, you should come, you should participate, right? You don't have to do anything big. Nobody's telling you to become the mass content creator putting out one post every day. No, but if you see something which you have an opinion about, just share it. It's as simple as that, right? You don't have to, again, with curated communities, you don't have to feel that these people will not get it. They will not understand that challenge
Correct.
because they are exactly here for that very reason. Now, if you talk about marketing and I talk about community, there will be aspects we won't align on. I will not know certain things and you will not know certain things, right? But if I sit down with another community builder, they will know the challenge I'm talking about. Or you sit down with another marketing expert, that person will know what you're talking about, right? So that feeling of connectedness and feeling that the other person gets you, right? That is again something you have to create. It just doesn't happen. And once you create that, automatically you feel pulled towards the platform or towards any other, opportunities that might be there on that platform. So yeah.
So we've spoken about content creation. Do you see your members being a little hesitant when it comes to first creating content, and second, actually reaching out to other people in terms of asking for help, or even saying that, hey man, I'm skilled at this. Do you have an opportunity for me?
That is a very pertinent question. Yes, I do notice it. I think the hesitation comes from a place of being. I think it's for all of us. The place of being judged. That what is this person going to think of me asking for help?
Right.
Right? Oh, they're going to think I don't know how to do this. Right? Or let's say for an opportunity, what if they think I'm not qualified enough? Or what would happen if they just shoot me down, right? The fear of rejection is one of the biggest feeders for the hesitation that we see today. So I think hesitation will always exist. You just have to find your way to get out of it, right? So let's say next time you see an opportunity, some not an opportunity, you see this opening where somebody is, just talking about something you have an opinion about, right? And I think I mentioned this before also while we were discussing that, just see that if there's a conversation going on about something you have an opinion on, just share it, right? What is the worst that could happen? This person is maybe someone you're never going to meet, right? If it's an online community, they're probably going to forget you in the next 2 months, right? Let's say even in 2 days.
Probably not even 2 months.
In 2 days,
Yeah.
right? Anything could happen, and you never have to face them again, right? There's no commitment that you have in this situation. I would say just dive into it. Just take that plunge. Go ahead and ask for it, right? If it's an opportunity that you want, if you feel that this person might have something relevant for you, if you feel that you want to collaborate with someone, you want to learn something from someone, don't wait for the platform, or let's say for us also, right? Don't wait for ConnectX to happen. You take that leap. The reason why ConnectX was born, because of this hesitation, to facilitate this, that we know that people want to connect, and we've been seeing them connect, but that's a very low scale, right? They feel that they can't ask for it, right? Or how do they find the right match? So we're doing that job for them, making it easier, right? That's what communities are for. That's what community builders are for. We make that job easier. So yeah, I would say it's about just taking that plunge and not thinking about what's going to happen. Just do it.
Have you noticed another thing? Like, even let's take an example of LinkedIn. How, when people send you a connection request, they add like a message for you. It seems like a trade-off. Like, if you do this for me, I'll probably do this for you. So how can we encourage members of the community to network that go beyond the arena of immediate benefits? That okay, I need to get a job, which is why I'm talking to you.
Right. So I think when it comes to networking, you have to be very clear on what you want to do through that networking, right? Nobody's here to waste time, right? If today somebody's sitting down with you and spending even 30 minutes of their time with you, there has to be an exchange of value, right? It's not necessary that the exchange of value is always that I will teach you X, you teach me Y, or I will give you X and you give me Y, right? That's not always going to be the case, especially when you look at a mentorship kind of a relationship, right? If you see someone senior, what is that person going to learn from the junior? The juniors might think that, right? That I don't have anything to offer. Maybe I'll just do some work for them. I'll tell them that I'll do XYZ task for you for free, no charges, nothing, right? But that's not always needed. You'll be surprised how much older people learn from younger people, because youngsters have that zeal, that energy, right? So older people get more, I would say, motivated, and they, understand what's going on in the world right now, in terms of the new age, right? So being very clear on what you want to get out of a networking connection is very important. If it's to get that mentorship, if it's to just learn about a skill, if it's to just meet for coffee and talk about your job right now, right? If you're stuck with XYZ situation at your workplace, you can discuss that with somebody who's again been in a similar situation, and then you'll find hundreds of people out there, right? Just because you're going through something doesn't mean that you're the first one going through it.
Correct.
Trust me, there are thousands of people who've been through it, right? And if you have a very curated community, you'll find hundreds who've been through that situation, because these are more common than we think. So yeah, just having that clarity on what you want to do and setting that expectation between both parties, that's more than enough for people to network correctly, in my opinion. And networking these days has become a buzzword that, oh, there's a networking this, and I'm going to do the speech, and I'm going to go out for lunch with these 10 people and talk about some specific, let's say, skill. I'm not going to name anything, but it could be anything these days, right? It's become more of a buzzword. And on LinkedIn, you'll again find content
Oh
that
my God, yeah.
this is what we've been doing, and this is happening, that's happening. But just because that's happening, it doesn't necessarily mean you're getting value out of it, right? So you have to assess why you're doing it and then do it strategically.
But is it necessary for me to approach networking strategically? Because I can just walk up to someone whose work I really admire and be like, I really admire your work, would love to connect. I don't really have a strategy in place, so should I not do that?
No, you should definitely do that. Now, let me tell you why. When you get a very general message, would you like to connect? Understand that these people who you're looking up to are very, very busy, right? They have their own life, their personal life, right? Then their professional life, which is very, taxing on them or very difficult to manage, because of which you've developed that admiration towards them, that they've achieved so much. But achievement doesn't happen on its own, right? You put in a lot of work and then you get that achievement. So these people don't have as much time. Now they might be willing to mentor or speak to you, or collaborate with you, whatever it might be. They might be willing to do it, but that time doesn't allow. So if you go to them vaguely that, hey, I just love your work and let's connect, it's like, okay, but
Why
what do you
should I
want to
connect with
do?
you?
But what do you want to do? You could be,
Yeah.
I mean, what do you want to do? Sit down and discuss what? Like, give me something, right? So instead of saying, would you like to connect? I would say, make it more specific that, okay, I've seen you doing really well in digital marketing, and here's what I'm doing. I just wanted to get your inputs on, this strategy that I'm thinking about, right? Now that person gets intrigued that, oh, somebody's actually noticed my work, right? Is willing to connect and wants to know my opinion on this. And trust me, humans love it when other people ask them about their opinion on something because they're experts on that. So I think making it more curated as opposed to making it very generalized is important when it comes to networking.
Okay. And say I'm a marketing professional, right? And tomorrow I do want to find communities like this which are very curated as opposed to me being active on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a place for everybody. Everybody has to share opinions.
That's right.
But say, for example, if it's an outsized community that's catered to professionals from 5 to 15 years of experience and I want to be a part of it. First of all, how do I find these communities and how do I determine which is the right community for me?
Okay, that's again a very good question. Communities are an investment of your time, right? Like I said, you can't just sign up and expect things to happen. You have to invest that time. You have to show participation. You have to do something. So it's important to select the right community so you're not wasting the time that you're actually investing, right? So let's say it would start with sitting down and understanding what you want to do. For instance, you mentioned marketing, right? You want to learn more about marketing, or you want to explore more. So you would sit down and understand, okay, marketing is what I want to do, but marketing is a broad umbrella. What within marketing? Could be digital marketing, performance marketing, right? It could be a lot of things that you have inside it. So you have to first decide what you want to do, and going just beyond the surface level, I think, is important. So if you have that clarity, you're able to better assess the platforms that are available. Then I would go with plain old Google search, right? XYZ skill communities, right? So let's say for our case, right, for our independent talent, they would just look for something independent consulting opportunities or communities, right? Something like that. And then you would find the platforms that are available. Now, communities in general have their focus areas, right? You would find communities that are focused on just meetups, like physically meeting up in locations. You would find communities that focus on online events. You would find communities that focus on just mentorship, right? It could be communities that just have posts and comments and all of those things. One could be just about resources, templates, right? There are multiple kinds of communities these days. But finding the right balance for yourself, right, is important. So if you think only online events are going to benefit you, well and good, sign up. If you feel you want to be in person with these people and connect, and you learn better that way, go ahead, do that, right? But don't expect yourself to understand that within, let's say, 3 days I will know this is the right fit or not. It's not going to happen. You have to sit down, you have to register, you have to spend at least a month, I would
A
say
month?
4 to 6 weeks, because communities are very intensive programs, okay? They have multiple things ongoing. So for you to experience everything, you need that time. I'm not saying sit and make content in the first month. No, nobody is asking you to do that. But sit and observe, right? The kind of emails you're getting, right? The kind of resources they're sharing, the kinds of events that they're hosting. What is happening at these events, right? Did they actually go well, right? Were they actually helpful to you, right? The meetups, is it actually a decent group of people or just random people are showing up, right? So there are lots of factors there. So I don't think you can just understand in 3 days or a week. You need 4 to 6 weeks to explore the entire thing, the entire scheme of things that they have, and then you make that call. So register for multiple at a time, right? If they're focused, or if you have a community like us where you have all of these things, you get resources, you have online events, you have meetups, all of the things that you can need as an independent talent, then I would say sign up for that because it's a more holistic thing, right? And then you pick and choose what you want instead of depending on the platform to give you only one theme of things.
Okay, I have two perspectives on this. If I'm an independent professional, I'm going and I'm searching for, say, community for marketing professionals. Here, my motive may be that I just want to upskill myself. I want to know where people at my stage are, what are they learning, how are they growing. And second would be I want to be a part of a community where I can find opportunities for myself, which means I'm looking for, say, startup founders, I'm looking for CEOs, I'm looking for other people who can hire me. So then how do I differentiate between whether I want to just upskill myself or should I go find a community that's going to give me opportunities?
I think in that case, you're looking for a community like ours, right, where you get everything. Otherwise, you register for two kinds of communities because the trend right now in the market is that you find dedicated themes and communities, right? There are very few communities that actually give you the entire picture or you get access to all kinds of things within a community, right? And which is what makes the outside community very unique, that we just don't focus on one aspect of you being an independent, right? Your personal life gets impacted, your professional life gets impacted, right? There are good things, there are bad things, right? With any opportunity in general, you need opportunities, you need the resources, you need people to connect with, right? You need that facilitation to help you get out of your hesitation to connect with people, right? All of these things need to be, focused on by a community builder, and that is exactly what the outside community is doing right now. So for your case, right, where you want to get opportunities as well as that network, I would say look for communities like the outside community or just the outside community.
Okay, and so I've heard a lot of discussion about participation and observation in a community. So how would you define for someone who joined the community today? When should I start participating? Until when should I observe?
Okay. So, like I was saying, right, that you need a little time to first figure out if this community is the right fit for you. So, you would spend a few weeks first figuring that out, right? If you're doing it with multiple communities, right, you're registering for multiple, trying to see which one's actually the right fit. So, you wait that period, right? You sit, you observe. You need to understand what's actually going on in the community. What are the trends, right? How do people comment on things? Is it that they just share their opinions, or do they invite other people to also share their opinions? There's always a pattern in a community that's already ongoing. If it's an established community, if it's a new one, then you sit and you develop the patterns, but in established communities you generally find it. So sit and observe that, right? And I would say once you feel that okay, this is the right space, don't wait to share your opinions or create content or do anything, right? And when I say share opinions and engage doesn't only include you writing posts, it's about you attending those events, it's about you consuming that content. So, a rule that I think works well is the 20-30-50 rule, right? 20% of the time you create content, right? 30% of your time you connect with people around you in that community, and 50% of your time you just consume, right? So whatever's happening, you consume it. But I think there's no right time to know that now I'm going to transition into this active person in the community. Sit, observe, if it feels right, just do it. There's no time to wait.
Okay, and now I want to pivot to talking about independent consultants specifically. What we've heard time and again at Outsized is that a major problem independents go through is loneliness, isolation. And the reason they'd like to be part of community is probably to eradicate that feeling of, not belonging anywhere. Do you think people actually are on the community to find connections, emotional connections, or are they there to just see people like themselves on a platform?
Okay, so I think isolation, when you look at it as a term for community, there are two kinds of isolation, right? One is your personal isolation. Even at your workplace, you have a personal life, right? You have a personal connect with the people around you. And then there's professional isolation. So when you are an independent, you're going through professional isolation, right? And that impacts you personally because you feel like an outsider. You're not on many things. You're not on the employee payroll in the same way as the next person sitting, beside you. You're not getting the same resources or benefits of being a part of that same company or doing the same kind of job, right? People know when you're leaving as opposed to the other person sitting again beside you. They don't know when that person is going. So it offers its flexibility, but there's always that feeling of I'm an outsider, right? So that's there. But I think when I look at the outside community specifically, I haven't seen that in people, right? The talent here are more focused on, again, professional growth and just finding that professional connect. So the professional isolation I was talking about, that is what they feel, as opposed to that personal isolation at workplace. And because of that, right, they require other things. So the resources that they don't get, let's say, from the company, they would want to get it through a platform like Outsized, right, or other platforms that they might be a part of. So those are some of the instances where you see that professional isolation, and that's how you require those other support systems, right? When you don't get the people to understand the kind of pain that you're going through, the kind of, let's say, detachment you're feeling from the workplace, they a full-time employee will never get it, right? The workplace for anybody becomes home, right? With time, you keep going there, you're spending 10 hours, 12 hours a day, it becomes your second home, right? As much as we wouldn't want to say that, but it does, right? And when you're an independent, that's not the case. You always know that you're going, right? So that feeling of ambiguity, nobody else will get it. A permanent employee who might become your friend will not get it, right? So only another independent would be able to understand that problem, and that is where the community comes into play, right? They understand it, you share your thought, and you'll find hundreds again telling you that, hey, I went through this is what I did to deal with it. You might not even ask for advice many times, and people will be offering that advice, right? Because they understand, again, that hesitation, that you are not open to asking for advice, but they will still share it. So I think, yeah, those are some of those situations.
So, how do you compare the dynamics between, say, an online community and an offline community? Let's talk about professional isolation. Has an online community been more instrumental in dealing with this, or do you still feel like offline interactions can be more beneficial for them?
So I would say both have their own benefits and both have their own cons. When you look at a professional setting, right, and like I said in the beginning, that when you're in a professional setting, you don't have that time to think before you speak that much, right? And you don't sit and contemplate in your brain for 15 minutes, how am I going to phrase this so I don't get, seen as XYZ kind of a person, right? So a professional setting is always easier to gel into, but an online community cannot be replaced, and I'll tell you why. The way you access resources, the way you can attend events across, any kind of market or skill area, it's not always going to be easy to organize that in a physical setup, right? You can't sit with people from Africa and for people with Singapore, from all the parts of the world, in one place. You can't get everybody to fly down in one location. Does that mean that we stop focusing on these aspects? No, we'll still convey our thoughts on these topics. We'll still try to get experts who speak about these issues, right? And that has to happen through an online medium. So I think online is irreplaceable, right? It has to be there to get that connection going, and a physical setting is always going to be easier to connect with, as opposed to, being better than an online setup.
Okay, I think this is very insightful for anybody who, first of all, didn't know what a community is, and secondly, for professionals who we cater to understand that there's something called as the outside community that can help them immensely. Any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the professionals before we wrap up today?
I think for all the independents out there, I understand, because I've been working on the community for so long. I understand the pains that you go through. I understand the challenges that are always going to exist, irrespective of, no matter what platforms comes up with what kind of solution, right? And we're always here to facilitate things for you, to make it easier. We know we can't solve your problems, but we are there to make it easier, right? And as much as the outside community exists to cater to the independent talent, we also understand that you're moving between jobs, you're looking back at permanent roles, right? There are lots of situations when there's no limitation. I would say that just because you've stopped being an independent for a temporary time being, right, that you stop engaging in the community or you are not welcome in the community, right? So it's a very flexible space, and I feel like the talent that we have really appreciates it, really the ones that we have on the platform right now. And I would encourage more people to obviously join in, network, connect with people across the globe, take part in ConnectX, right? It's a great way to upskill with a dedicated plan. And yeah, that's about it.
That's really nice. That's amazing. And thank you so much for being a part of our podcast today. And we hope to see you soon again.
Thank you for having me.